There's this moment I keep coming back to. It isn't the monsters or the powers or any of the other things. It's standing alone under that flickering street lamp. The lot, empty, wet asphalt gleaming in the yellow light, and me, wrapped in a threadbare hoodie, breathing too loud in the silence. I don't know why that's the memory that sticks with me. Maybe because it was the last time I remember feeling completely human, or at least thinking I was. Before all this happened, life was normal. Boring, really. I had a job at this place called Raxford Solutions. I couldn't tell you what we actually solved. Most of my day was just emails and pretending to care about spreadsheets. It wasn't a bad life, it wasn't a good one either, just neutral. I used to fill the empty spaces in my life with dumb stuff, comics, superhero movies, late-night forums. Sometimes I'd daydream about having powers, like I was still 12 years old, flying over traffic, freezing time so I could sleep in, turning invisible when my boss walked by my cubicle. It was harmless, or it used to be. I remember this one Thursday in the break room at work. I was microwaving leftovers. Chicken, maybe. Or pasta. I don't remember exactly. Funny, the things you forget. Troy from accounting leaned on the counter next to me. He always did that, hovered too close, like personal space wasn't part of his vocabulary. He said something weird that day. He looked at me, dead serious, and said, "You ever think about just vanishing?" At first, I thought he meant quitting the job, so I laughed. But he shook his head, eyes kinda glazed over. "Nah, I mean just poof, gone, no notice, no consequences." I laughed again, nervously this time, and told him something like, "Cool, I'll pencil that in for Friday." We both chuckled, but there was this edge to his tone that stayed with me longer than it should have. Later, by the elevators, I ran into Jess from IT. She looked at me, kinda squinted, and said, "Hey, you look like you didn't sleep." I told her I never really sleep, just close my eyes and wait for the next mistake. She laughed, said that was relatable, but when she asked what I'd been dreaming about, I just shrugged it off. I told her it was nothing important, just shapes. That part was true. Even before I met him, the dreams had started. Blurry, shifting things in the dark corners of my mind. Shapes with too many limbs, faces in the wrong places. But back then, I figured it was just stress. That night, I stayed late at the office. Told myself it was to catch up on work. But really, I just didn't want to go home. Around 11 p.m., I finally packed up and headed to the parking lot. And that's when I saw him. This guy, sitting on the curb near the street lamp, wearing a tattered gray coat, hood pulled up so I couldn't see much of his face. I almost walked right past him. But then he spoke. His voice was soft, like he wasn't even talking to me at first. He said, "You ever wish you could be something else?" I stopped. I asked him what he meant, and he said, "Different, more, better, whatever word you need." At first I thought he was homeless, or maybe just drunk, but he didn't smell like booze. His hands were weirdly clean too, nails filed smooth, like he was prepping for surgery or something. I should have just kept walking, but I didn't. That's when he pulled out this little square from his coat, a Polaroid photo, and he said, "Want to see something?" I don't know why I said yes. Curiosity maybe, or boredom. Or maybe part of me already knew this was the moment that would break the world open. When I looked at the photo, at first it just looked like a blur, a bad snapshot taken in the dark. But then I tilted it under the streetlight, and I saw it. This thing, hunched and twisting, like its bones didn't understand how joints worked. Its skin looked like melted wax stretched over metal. And its mouth wasn't where a mouth should be. It opened sideways, splitting along the neck, like some kind of wet zipper. I felt my chest tighten, like someone had tied a string around my lungs. I tried to laugh it off. Told him it was fake, a costume, Photoshop maybe. But he just looked at me. Didn't blink, didn't smile. He said, "It's a friend of mine." I tried to give the photo back, but he pushed it toward me again. "Keep it," he said. "You might need it." Then he stood up. The way he moved was too smooth, like he wasn't using his legs the right way. I swear, the shadows between two parked cars swallowed him whole. I mean that literally. 1 second he was there. The next, he wasn't, just gone. And that's where it started, with a photo in my pocket and a memory I can't shake.
I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about the photo in my pocket. I kept telling myself it was fake, some elaborate prank or viral marketing thing. My brain kept trying to file it away into something normal. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw that mouth. The way it opened sideways, splitting where a neck should have been. I think I finally drifted off around dawn, and when I woke up, well, that's when the first thing happened. It wasn't dramatic. I didn't grow wings or shoot lasers from my hands. It was subtle, almost too subtle. I was walking down the street to catch the bus to work, like always, and at some point, I realized people were moving around me differently. They weren't making eye contact. They weren't noticing me at all. I stood right in front of this guy handing out flyers, and he just skipped over me. It wasn't like I was invisible exactly. More like I'd slipped sideways out of the spotlight of normal attention. It felt good. Like something I'd always wanted but never realized until that moment. At work, I tested it out. I stood behind Troy in the break room while he made coffee. Usually he'd ramble at me about something, his fantasy football league, his sleep paralysis, whatever popped into his head. But this time, nothing. He didn't even glance my way. I waved a hand near his face just to mess with him. Nothing. I started using it more. At first just for fun, sneaking past the security desk without swiping my badge, sitting in meetings I wasn't invited to, listening to directors talk about layoffs. It was harmless, or at least that's what I told myself. The more I used it, though, the more things started to change. At first it was small stuff. I'd catch my reflection in windows and think, that's not right. My eyes were darker than they used to be. Not just the pupils, the whole eye. The whites weren't white anymore, more like smoke gray. I chalked it up to bad lighting. Then there was this one time in the break room. I was microwaving leftovers again. Some kind of noodles this time, I think. Jess walked in. She grabbed a soda from the fridge, looked at me sideways and said, "You okay? You look different." I laughed it off, told her maybe I wasn't getting enough sleep. She smiled, but her eyes lingered on me for a second too long, like she was trying to figure out what was off but couldn't quite put her finger on it. I started avoiding mirrors, but at the same time, I couldn't stop using the ability. It was like scratching an itch deep inside my brain. The more I used it, the better it felt. Like I was slipping out of reality just enough to take what I wanted without anyone noticing. A couple weeks went by, and then one night, I found him again. Same guy, same gray coat, sitting in the same spot by the parking lot like he'd never left. I don't remember deciding to go there. I was just suddenly there, standing in front of him, hands in my pockets, heart racing. He looked up at me without saying a word. Then he reached into his coat and pulled out another Polaroid, a new one. This creature was different. It had these spines along its back, curling like antennae, twitching in the camera flash. Its hands, if you could call them hands, were curling and uncurling like sea anemones, tiny fingers folding in waves. My stomach flipped, but I couldn't look away. He handed me the photo without speaking, and I took it. That night, I dreamt of the spines. I could feel them growing under my skin, twitching just beneath the surface of my back. When I woke up, the feeling didn't stop. At work the next day, Jess saw me again. This time she looked more concerned than curious. She said, you're losing weight or something. You look thinner." I told her it was just stress. She made this little nervous laugh and told me to take care of myself. Even Troy noticed. He cornered me by the vending machines, said something like, "Dude, you okay? You look like you've been living under fluorescent lights for a year straight." I smiled, but it didn't feel right on my face anymore. I told him I was fine, but I wasn't. I wasn't fine at all. Because now I could hear things, little whispers, in places where sound shouldn't be, in the hum of the office printer, in the buzz of the vending machine, in the click of the elevator doors. Tiny voices, curling around words I couldn't quite catch, and the more I listened to them, the more I started to understand. I don't know how many times I went back after that. I think I stopped counting after the 5th photo, or maybe it was the 6th. It's all kind of a blur. Doesn't matter anymore. New photos, new powers, new changes. Each time the man in the coat was waiting for me like he'd never moved. Each time the creature in the photo was worse. Creatures that made no biological sense. Shapes that shouldn't exist in any sane universe. One of them had too many faces, stacked vertically along its chest, whispering to each other. Another one was made of... I don't even know what. It looked like roots growing out of its own mouth. Every time I blinked, I swear the roots moved closer to the camera lens, and each time I became more like them. I kept the photos in a shoebox under my bed. I don't know why I didn't burn them. I guess part of me liked knowing they were there, like a private little gallery of nightmares. The changes kept coming. At first, it was just my eyes. Then my skin started to feel wrong. Not painful, just wrong. Sometimes it felt too tight. Sometimes too loose, like it wasn't mine. I'd stare at my hands for minutes at a time, trying to remember what they used to look like. The bones beneath my knuckles seemed sharper. My fingers bent just a little too far backward when I stretched. I started to wonder if anyone else could see it, but no one said much anymore. People stopped making eye contact altogether. I started to think maybe I wasn't in the same world as them anymore, and my personality changed. Little things at first. I stopped texting people back, stopped going to birthdays, to drinks after work, stopped caring. Jess tried to check in on me once. She sent me a message after I ghosted her for a week. "Hey, just making sure you're okay. You've been acting kinda off." I stared at the message for 10 minutes, then turned my phone off. Never answered. Troy? He cornered me in the stairwell one day. Said I looked like hell. I laughed in his face. But the sound that came out wasn't mine. It was too low, too hollow, like it came from somewhere deeper than my throat. I remember Troy stepping back, his mouth tightening like he'd tasted something sour. I think that was the last time anyone really talked to me. By then, I'd stopped pretending I was normal. Stopped pretending I could stop. I kept going back to the man in the coat, like some kind of ritual, same place every time. The edge of the parking lot, same damp gray coat, same hood shadowing his face. He never said much, just handed me a new Polaroid like we were doing some casual business transaction. The last photo he gave me was the worst. I'm not even sure it showed a creature this time. It was just texture, pulsing flesh, veins threaded like wiring through some kind of wet fabric, a mouth with no teeth, just a smooth, breathing surface, opening and closing, waiting for something. That night, I felt something move in my back, not just twitch. Move, like something was settling into place beneath my ribs. I tried to look in the mirror, but mirrors stopped being helpful a long time ago. My reflection would lag, so I stopped trying. My body isn't really my body anymore. I don't know how to explain it without sounding insane. Sometimes I feel parts of me that aren't there, extra joints, hollow spaces where my lungs used to be. I can't tell where the outside ends and the inside starts. And the worst part, I don't even hate it. That's what scares me the most. A week ago, or maybe a month, time's weird now, I went to find the man again. Same spot. But this time, he did something different. He pulled out a camera, an old one of those boxy plastic Polaroids with the rainbow stripe on the side. He pointed it at me, didn't ask permission, didn't explain, just said, "This part's important," and then he took my picture. The flash burned into my retinas. For a second, everything went white, and when my vision cleared, he was tucking the photo into his coat pocket. I asked him why. I don't even know if my mouth moved when I said it, but I know I heard the words "leave me." He smiled, or at least I think he did. There was something shifting beneath the hood, something not quite human stretching the skin of his face into the idea of a smile. He said, "Someone else will need to see you now." That's the last thing he said. Now I'm here, wherever here is, a place he told me about, a place for people like me. I don't remember walking here. I just am here, waiting, watching, and somewhere out there someone's going to find a Polaroid. Maybe they're at the parking lot right now, maybe at some other place staring at it, holding it between shaking hands, wondering if it's real. Maybe they'll feel the same itch I did, the same hunger, and when they do, I'll be waiting for them. Because that's how it works. That's how it always works.
If you thought that was unsettling, there are more shadows waiting for you. Dare to uncover the next secret. Check out our other videos on this channel. Just remember, Once you look, you can't unsee.